Welcome to the Bourbon Talk Show, the ABV Network's original YouTube series where we interview some of the most interesting people from the world of bourbon. Today on the show, we'll be talking to Adam Stumpf of Stumpy Spirits and Nate Weingarte of 5280 Whiskey Society. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my host for the evening, Steve Agley.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, gang? So yeah, we've got a fun show today. We've got a couple of my really great friends in this business, so that's always cool. So Adam Stumpf, the guy, I live closest to his distillery to any other one, and I'm over there all the time. He's just one of my best buddies in the business, so love talking to him and sharing all the great things he's got going on. He's got a lot going on, by the way, so that's kind of cool. And then Nate Weingarte, I've got really a lot of respect for what he's doing too, and I don't know that everybody really knows the story of what he's got going on. So it's really, really cool stuff. So look forward to talking to both of those gentlemen this evening. But before we get to that, McNew and I do a little segment called Bourbon Industry News, and we talk about things that are going on in the bourbon industry, as well as sometimes in our personal bourbon world. So let's talk a little bit here. So McNew, our first story. I don't know if you saw this in the notes, but I don't hate this idea, actually. I just hate where it might lead to. So a company called Simplicity Cocktails out of Salt Lake City, Utah. This is a weird place to be talking about a bourbon story.
Yeah.
But they announced they're doing a canned bourbon. And I'm not talking about a bourbon seltzer or anything like that. I'm talking about they're replacing, not doing glass, they're selling bourbon in 12-ounce cans. Now, the idea is it's not to sit there and drink bourbon straight because it's actually it comes in at 118 proof. I mean, this isn't like 80 proof, meant to be a sipper thing. It's meant to be mobile. It's a can that you open up and you can reseal it, and that it costs about $16 for a 12-ounce can. Doesn't sound terrible. And I could see where there'd be some uses for this. Maybe you're going to a pool party. A lot of people don't want glass around their pool and stuff like that, or to the beach. I could see mixing it and using it in the right way. What the bad side of it, McNew, don't you think there's going to be plenty though that are just popping the top and just drinking it like it's a beer?
Yeah. Do you know how many like shotgun videos I'm going to see on TikTok? There's going to be, everybody's going to do that. I like the idea, and I don't even know how they got this approved because people are idiots. Like,
right.
Nobody's going to be responsible about this.
I don't think they're going to be responsible either. So yeah, I think it's going to be a problem. But
on the other hand, like bourbon snobs, like I know people that are like, oh, I only drink out of Glencairn's or Distiller's glasses. They are going to be so angry that somebody put bourbon in a can.
I know.
There's going to be two camps. There's going to be people like shotgunning it all summer, and there's going to be people real mad.
Yes. So that's an interesting one to watch. I know out of the gate, it's only going to be distributed in Utah. I don't know what the plans are beyond that, but that, again, interesting place. I don't ever see Utah.
I've never had plans to go to Utah, but I really do want to check this out.
You want to get yourself a 6-pack?
Yeah, I'm going to just drive to Utah for a 6-pack. Probably be fine.
See, you could be one that I could totally foresee being part of the problem. Like you got that little mini pool in your backyard, sitting there popping a top, drinking. Yeah.
And before I know it, I'm like, that's literally 12 ounces of bourbon. And you're like, why did I get drunk in an hour? Well, you drank the whole can.
118 proof too. So yeah.
In the sun.
Right. In the sun.
Yeah.
Bear from our Facebook group. I could see him drinking.
This man needs these. Actually, I want Bear to have the whole case.
Yeah. What did he wanted when I had one of those seltzers, and he wanted it to be like 80 proof for a seltzer. It's like you can't have 80 proof seltzer drinking 10 ounces at a time.
Yeah. I don't hate the idea. I just see it going very wrong.
Yeah. I think they need to protect us from ourselves more than the product's a bad idea. And I just think, it's going to go wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Well, Jim Beam is putting $1 billion with a B, behind sustainability, diversity, and responsible drinking plans. I mean, so they really, I mean, you talk about everything is on such a grandiose scale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's unbelievable. So, I mean, these are all good things. I mean, good for the environment, good for inclusion, and responsible drinking is always a good thing. But man, $1 billion, holy cow.
That's a lot of money, but I think it's well invested in those three things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from a social standpoint, that's a really nice thing. And I know that Maker's Mark, their sister company, has a big head start for them on the sustainability thing.
Yeah.
And I know they're getting to the game now because they got Jason Nally who does all that stuff for them. Has like a 30-year plan of how they're going to be good to the environment and stuff like that. And it looks like Beam's on board now. So I wonder if they'll be hiring someone like that. If so, I may put in for that job, though I have absolutely no experience that could help. But I can figure out, I can lie my way through the interview.
Yeah, and then they're gonna hire you and be like, "This man can barely mow his yard. What's he gonna do in a cornfield?"
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna call Jason Nally. He's gonna be my secret weapon.
Yeah,
Paul knows this. Yeah, Paul went on a tour with me with Jason. We spent the day with that guy, right?
You guys had fishing with him. That was a cool day.
Is he not great?
Yeah, that was an awesome time. He is amazing. Yeah, I never knew that his position existed, and it's one of the best jobs in all of the bourbon industry.
It is. And yes, it's so cool that his company is dedicated like that. And yeah, he does amazing things. He was telling me, how they're good neighbors to the the individuals that live around them and stuff like that. And it's just good to have someone like that because, these properties that these distilleries on, particularly the big guys, that's a lot of land and making sure you're taking care of that, I think is a smart thing. So it's cool. So Beam's investing big, like you always do. They never go half-assed on anything like Beam does. They go big and they're going big on all this stuff. So it's cool.
Good.
A third and final one, McNew. I think, we can jump the gun here. This is like the best compliment in the world. It's like when if you're doing like a Hollywood TV show, if they tell you after the season ends, you might have to wait a week or two and find out if you've been renewed. It's always good news when you get the word you've been renewed early. We've been renewed for season 2, folks. We're coming back in the fall.
Coming back in the fall. That's exciting.
Yes. September 10th, we'll come back. That's when we'll start recording again, and for 10 more weeks. So we still got 2 more weeks to go after this, and then we'll take a break over the summer. Then we'll come back for the fall season, and we'll start lining up guests soon. Haven't done any of that yet, so I can't preview who's going to be on, but I have started to make a wish list since I know that we're going to be
still in your Thursday night lineup. Still schedule us for Thursdays.
Schedule us for Thursdays. For those that watch it online, it'll still drop on Fridays. So the plan will be exactly everything the same that we're doing right now. So with that, it's time to talk to our guest. Our first guest, I'm telling you, this is the smartest person in bourbon. I'm not even kidding about this. This is not a joke like a ribbon and buddy or anything like that. I think he is truly the smartest person in the industry. He's a whiz at building anything. He crunches business financials like nobody I've seen. He can't even help himself. You bring him in and you start talking about, a business idea, and he starts immediately crunching numbers. And most of all, though, what I think is the coolest thing about him is all of this knowledge and all of this ability, the things that he does, all goes into the fact that he makes great whiskey. And so I'm pleased and honored to be able to talk to my friend tonight, Mr. Adam Stumpf. Adam, how you doing, man?
Steve, I'm good. That's so sweet of you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Well, thank you. I really like what you've got going on. It's been fun to watch. I've been there from the beginning. You and I have been personal friends. I don't know, at least 5 years.
Yeah.
I think so. It's really a cool thing, and really to watch your company change over that time is neat from every perspective, from the build out to the new equipment to the whiskey that you're making to the team that you've got now. When I used to go over there, it was just you and Laura. That's it. You and Laura. That's
things have definitely grown. It's absolutely crazy to think about kind of where we're headed and how quickly it's all happening and all that fun stuff. Sometimes too quick, I feel like.
Yeah. And of course, on the family side, the family has grown too. So, when I first started coming over there, no kids. And then you had, Charlotte, and now you have a new baby too in the mix, baby Emma. So tell us a little bit about the family life and how that's going and how that impacts your ability to get a good night's rest.
Oh my goodness. It's been crazy. Well, honestly, Emma has been a much better sleeper than Charlotte. So okay. Charlotte was 2.5 when Emma was born, and Charlotte just started sleeping through the night right after Emma was born. So wow. we had about 2.5 years of up and down and up and down and up and down. And Emma, complete opposite baby. I mean, like from day one, you put her down and she's out, and she would be out until 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Although now we've started to get into this, I guess, like 4-month regression must be a thing, because she thinks that she needs a bottle at 3 a.m. right now. But honestly, as rewarding as the distillery side is, the family side of things is even more rewarding. if it's up to my wife, I think we'll have like 12 more kids or something like that. Whatever she wants. I don't know.
Those are
she's
future
always,
employees, Adam. Just wait.
I like cleaning tanks is just chores, right? That's
Right.
That's what that is for distillery kids. No, but I told her if she wants 2 more, she better have 2 at the next whack. That's for sure.
She better start multiplying them, huh?
Oh man, it's crazy. The thing I'm worried about the most is like, I've already got 2 girls, so I'm living in a house with 3 girls plus a female dog, and like, well, what if she does get 2 more at the next round?
Oh yeah.
And what if they're both girls? Oh yeah. Dear Jesus.
You're done already, man, because they will gang up on you. I mean, I had that in my house, and I was only down 2-1, but it doesn't matter. They've got the majority vote already, so you're done, my friend. Your life is you're going to be doing things you don't want to do. Going to events that you don't want to go to because you'll get outvoted, and you got to do it. You're dad, you get stuck doing that stuff, and that's part of having a family. But yeah, I'm sorry, man. I don't have good news for you there. Dave's shaking his head. Yes, he knows.
We've even started to hedge our bets already. We started the distillery specifically because we thought that we were going to have girls. We're like, well, it would be nice if we would pick up the bar tab at their weddings as well. But then we're like, damn, we're going to have to, take care of the weddings as well. So we decided we might as well build that wedding venue just because you have so many kids too. So like, the investment now will pay off in the future is the plan.
Okay. All right. That's good to know. Speaking of investment, let's talk about that new still. Tell us about that. I think, probably many in the audience here have heard about it, but I don't know that they know all of the details. And certainly anybody that's watching this online doesn't necessarily know the case. So tell us about what you've got going on. It's a project that's ongoing as we even record this. So tell us where we're at.
Yeah, so we shut down the last week of February, and we've been shut down since, going through this expansion project. We got rid of the still that we had designed and built. It is now out in Atlantic City making whiskey, so want to go see that one for sure. But we made room for this new situation that we're installing, and it's kind of a combination of stills. But basically, we came across a crazy, in my opinion, an opportunity that we really couldn't pass up on. I had searched, many of you guys know that Old Monroe is a historic brand, and we had searched for like old distilling diagrams and old manufacturers in the States for, Old Monroe production and how we might be able to scale up with a vintage style still, like try to find the original plans and have it recreated, that kind of thing. Going down that rabbit hole, it was one night at like, I don't know, 3 a.m. probably. I swear to you, I was at the end of Google whenever I found this thing. And it there was not another more option on the bottom. It's ridiculous. So we came across this page in Dutch, and luckily Google Translate works just fine. So pulled it up, and it looked like a column that would work for us. So anyway, contacted the equipment broker and basically bought the contents of a distillery completely sight unseen, and just kind of hoped, but the price was aggressive enough that we could kind of take a little bit of a risk on it. And we knew that if we had to put some money into it, once we got it in, that there'd be a little bit of room to do that. So we went for it, brought it in. And the reason I say I was a little nervous is all this stuff was built in 1922, at least the main portion of the distillery. It's big, much bigger than I thought. So like, if you look at the building that this stuff was in, it was in this little town outside of Antwerp. And it's like those really cool, like Belgian and European breweries are. They're like built into these old, super historic houses. So that's the same way this distillery was. It was just this, it looks like this absolutely massive house. And this big scale distillery was built in that thing. Anyway, along with the equipment there were 2 28-inch columns, 1 copper, 1 stainless. So the 28-inch column, the copper one is what we're running as our beer still. We've got an 800-gallon solid copper doubler going in. And then we've got a couple of vodka columns as well. So for our vodka process, it's kind of crazy. We integrated it. We basically took our old vodka process and then put it all together in this continuous fashion. So we used to distill alcohol off of our continuous still, and then we take it, put it in the pot still, distill it on the pot still, and make the cuts and all that stuff. Well, we integrated everything together. So basically, when we're running vodka or the base for our gin or whatever, the alcohol will come off the beer still, go to the doubler, get doubled off just like it would be bourbon at that point. After it gets doubled off though, and instead of going into the cistern tank, it's going to go get diverted over to 3 more columns where all of the different impurities get pulled out, and we'll take that stuff all the way up to 192 proof is the plan. So probably the coolest thing about that still though is that they shipped over the original control panel, and their control panel, right, was like 4 spirit safes, for lack of a better term, where they pulled alcohol off different points and all that stuff. And they shipped the original hydrometers and original thermometers in those glass tubes. Like, I mean, they literally just took the thing off the floor and threw it in the container. It all survived somehow. Like it made it, that thing went from Kortrijk, Belgium to Antwerp, got loaded on a boat. Then it made a stop in France, and then Liverpool, New York City, Norfolk, Virginia, got loaded onto a train in Norfolk, railed up to Chicago, and then truck down to Columbia here. And how the heck it made it down 255 and that glass didn't break, I have no idea.
Right.
Yeah, you guys know what it's like. Oh, so yeah. Anyway, it's we're still cruising along. We've got I would say we've got 2 more columns to finish installing. And we're doing a bunch of the condenser repair right now. Probably by the end of next week, all the equipment will be set in place, and then it's just a matter of hooking everything up, connecting the dots.
So when do you think you're making whiskey by? Is it too early to think by June, or when's we're going to start seeing something coming out of there?
I want to say June, but there's a lot to do because the project is a lot bigger too. Like we're automating the rest of the distillery as well, or automating portions of it. So we decided we're just going to stay down and, kind of do it right the first time, basically. So I'm hoping June, that's kind of the goal, to be running by the end of June. And right now it looks like we're on track for that, but you know how projects go. So I would not be surprised if it were July.
Yeah. So what can your company grow into with this new still? What can we see Stumpy Spirits being when you're up and running, everything's going well? Tell us about that.
This still could produce much larger volume than I'll ever see it produce. We'd go broke if we tried to feed it at full capacity right now. It takes a lot of corn. This thing would run right at about 1 million cases a year. So it'll run about 14 barrels of whiskey every 5 hours. So
wow.
Yeah, I mean, it used to take it, right. We had the 500-gallon pot still. We made 1 barrel a day off of that. So you get 5 barrels a week. Then we went to the continuous. We were making about, 3-ish barrels a day, running about 12 to 14 barrels a week. And then, now we're going to this thing, and we'll be able to run what we ran in a week in 5 hours now. So distillation is no longer the bottleneck of our production process. It's now mashing and fermentation. But with all the equipment that's installed on site now, we'd be able to push about 200,000 proof gallons out of there. We won't distill that much. We have no need to distill that much. But it could certainly do more.
Yeah. So you do things that I don't see other people doing when I go into your place. I know you keep a notebook with all kinds of notes and unbelievable the ledger that you keep on your whiskey, but you do other things like, I see you're taking oxygen measurements as it's coming off the still and things like that. I don't see this happening at other distilleries. What drives you to do the things the way you do them?
Bourbon is so cool because it's got, it's such a historical thing, and there's a heritage that kind of drives the quality and the way bourbon is made. But at the end of the day, there's also like all those old timers were figuring things out, and they were figuring things out and how to make better whiskey. And we're just, living a few decades later and trying to figure the same thing out. So it's just trying to take a scientific approach and understanding, what we can do at different points in the process to kind of help aid things along. And yeah, oxygenation post still is one of those really cool things that we do. We feel that it kind of helps accelerate the whiskey a little bit as we go into the barrel, because one of the, a lot of people say that the thing that you can't speed up in aging whiskey is the complex chemical reactions that happen over time in a barrel. And yes, that's absolutely true. One of the things though that takes the longest to happen in a barrel is the oxygenation of whiskey, right? Oxygen's introduced, acids break down, form esters, you start to get the different fruity notes and all that fun stuff. Right. And that just takes time to do it, because in the wintertime, that liquid's cold, there's 50% more dissolved oxygen than in the summertime. So that's why that seasonal cycle is so important in whiskey. So we just try to do a little bit of that as we come off the still and go into the barrel with, a little bit of a head start. So yeah, just stupid things like that, reading. I think we were originally digging up patents from the late 1930s regarding some of that technology. And I don't know if they're used in whiskey currently, but we use them and have, I guess, decent enough results with them from our tests so far. So.
Cool. So I saw just about 90 minutes from your house, there's a big auction going on tomorrow from a farm, 150 years old, all kinds of old original equipment. Are you going to get in the truck and go there?
I wish I could. No, I'm not. If I bought anything else on an auction right now,
okay. I was just testing. That's not actually happening. I was just throwing it out there because I know you love that kind of stuff. This is your jam. Going to.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I was actually going to text you. Hey, where's that at?
Right. Do you have any pics of what they got? So yes. Yeah. So why do you love that kind of stuff? Why do you love all that old equipment and machinery? You can buy new stuff. You can buy, and I would assume that the companies that you're going and talk to, if you're buying, a mill from today or whatever it is you've got, grain cleaner, that the companies today would be like, this is the state of art technology. This is the best you can get. You use the old stuff from 100 years ago.
Yeah. I feel like I take a look at, I guess really what's come before us, and, find that there's plenty of absolutely incredible, and I would say probably a lot of people would argue that even better bourbon from the past than what's being produced now. So, it would stand to reason that I don't have to have $100,000 triple pair roller mill that's state of the art and computer controlled and all this stuff. I can go drag one out of a fallen down grist mill and put that in place. So, and we also don't have $100,000. So we have Facebook Marketplace and we buy used shit off of there. So, no, but the technology really hasn't changed. Distillation technology hasn't changed. I would say some of the, scientific methods haven't changed a ton really since like the 40s, but the ability to capture data and analyze that data has changed. So that is kind of where we are making the investment in some of the new stuff, is with the, just looking at different areas of the process. Like, we are going to be running the old original control panel on that still, but that's going to be in tandem with a completely touchscreen HMI that we'll be able to click on, different areas of the still and just see what's going on in there, temperatures, pressures, proofs, all kinds of stuff. So that's why I buy old equipment and new technology.
Yeah. Your place is like no other that I go to. Everything's repurposed, reimagined. You got equipment from industries that aren't in any way affiliated with, bourbon or whiskey or anything like that. And I always wonder, do you do this to push yourself creatively? Do you do it because you have an engineer mind and you like the way things get taken apart and put back together? Or is it just because you're cheap?
Steve, I don't like cheap. I like frugal. Okay. No, it's a little bit of both. Like, it's the creativity piece, but the creativity piece is kind of driven by the frugality of the situation, I feel like.
Right.
And one of the things that annoys me, it's like, I feel like any Midwestern woman, like whenever she is, like my wife specifically, she is so incredibly happy when she gets a good deal. Like, and she'll tell you about getting this really good deal. I'm the same way, but I do it with equipment instead of, a pair of sandals or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I'm used to this. My wife used to walk in from all these places like Bed Bath & Beyond, and she wouldn't tell me what she spent. She'd be telling me how much she saved. You wouldn't believe what I saved.
Yes.
No, you could save 100% if you didn't buy any of it. In my mind, I don't need any of this stuff.
And Kohl's Speed Sis, they give us the receipts that tells us how much we saved.
Yep. So
Yes.
like that's a little bit of a driver of it. There's this piece that's just like ingrained in us as Midwesterners, I feel like, that we have to say that. But one of the things that irks me is like overpaying for things. And I think it's because my mom, I grew up with her saying how much she saved and all this stuff. So whenever I see like, okay, yeah, I can go to SFI in Springfield, Missouri, who built the fermenters for Old Foe, and I can get a 4,500 gallon fermenter for $35,000. Or I could go to Meridian Manufacturing in Iowa that makes stainless steel liquid fertilizer tanks and get a stainless steel tank made for $6,000 and put an agitator on it myself. So like at the end of the day, we still accomplish all of the same processes. We still accomplish, all the same tasks. It's just with a different means to get to that same end. So
yeah, you come at this naturally. I know that. I mean, I have a garage sale every once in a while. Your mom's there every time, and your grandma, and they're always talking me down on the prices. They're not going to. Believe me, if you see a Stumpy family member come in, they're not paying what you got on the sticker. They're going to haggle.
absolutely.
But I have sold your mom some stuff over the years.
Oh, she still has. I think it's a chair on her front porch.
Yeah. So yeah. She does have a chair. So when you came out with that vintage rye recipe, I mean, I just really loved it. It's my favorite whiskey of all time. It literally is. And McNew had some that she just recently did a show about a bottle kill on that. That was one of your favorites too, right, McNew?
Yeah, I'm real sad to see that one go.
Yeah. So the question we have is, when are we going to see some more of this stuff? I know you started laying some stuff down. What type of timeline are we looking at till we can start drinking some of that again?
Yeah. So if you remember, we made all these different rye recipes because we had no idea which one we wanted to like actually make. And we had 2 barrels of that stuff. And they're both gone. And we are now waiting. We're going to be waiting for at least another 2 years.
Oh, geez.
On that recipe. Yeah.
Oh.
We've got some stuff that's like,
that's hurtful.
It's aged enough to like put it on the label and all that fun stuff, but like it's getting better every day. So
okay.
we're still going up, and I can't justify pulling it off the rack yet.
All right. You better be laying more down, man, because in 2 years from now, when I wait this thing out, I don't want to drink through whatever you got and you'd be like, well, okay, well, it was the second time we wanted to make sure. And in 3 more years after this, you'll be able to have it whenever you want. No, you better be laying some down right now, man.
Yeah.
You know that like in 2 years, that's 2023. And that sounds like a space age. It's so long.
Why you got to go there? Yeah, it's crazy. My dad asked me, we are planning on laying more down. We used to do like 10 acres of rye a year, and we planted 55 acres of rye this year.
Oh, nice.
And my dad kind of looked at me whenever I told him. He goes, "Are you sure you want to sow that much rye?" I said, "Yes, I think I do."
That's cool. Bananas Foster, that's our signature ABV Network barrel pick. It's long gone. I do have a couple bottles in reserve myself.
Yeah.
Eagles have some, Robinsons have some.
Yeah, there you go. There it is right there. It just doesn't get any better than that in whiskey. There's another, we got at least 3 of them on here right now. So that's really cool to see. It's just an incredible whiskey. I know there's some sister barrels of that. At some point, can we take a look at buying one of those Bananas Foster sister barrels?
Oh, absolutely.
Relive it a little bit, maybe. Maybe it won't be exactly the same, but we'd like to get as close as we can.
The cool thing about those barrels, though, so it all came out of the one lot. That was one recipe, one batch, and we put it in 30-gallon barrels, a few different entry proofs and a few different style barrels. So that was out of just like an 18-month air season number 3 char barrel. We've got some of that stuff laid down in some of the 8-year air season barrels as well. Oh
yeah, those are the best.
Yeah, so those are still just sitting back there doing their thing, and that recipe is coming along. I mean, it was really good then, and it's coming along really nice now. I'm going to be curious to see what it does after it gets this summer on it, and we get another, hopefully hard summer of aging, and see what it's like then.
Do me a favor. I see Nate Weingarte writing something down there. If he tries to approach you to buy that out from under me, don't sell it to him. I put in a call for that first, so don't sell it. Okay.
Did you put that bottle on your left there, just as a reminder?
Yes, exactly. Nice product placement. So yeah. Let's talk for just a moment about your wife, Laura. Now, I have the greatest respect in the world for you and all the things that you do, but still, you couldn't run that place by yourself. Oh. You guys have complementary skills. That's what I love about you two. You guys are like a perfect pair for doing exactly what you're doing. So if you don't mind, tell the audience a little bit about Laura, what she does there, and the importance of her in your business.
Oh my God, she's She's amazing. And she's like the only reason, I think I told her this today, that she's the only reason that I'm not just sleeping in a ditch somewhere. It's true. She does so much, and it's crazy because she doesn't get the recognition. So thank you very much for that. But she does all the behind the scenes work. And I mean, she puts in the same amount of hours while taking care of the kids. So it's absolutely incredible. I mean, from a brand image standpoint, she is 100% it. So, any of the branding, that whether it's the posters, all that stuff, that is 100% Laura. But she basically manages the entire business from a financial perspective. So, we've got different, Rachel kind of manages the day-to-day of the tasting room, but Laura, decides, what we're keeping in stock, when we're keeping in stock, when we're rotating inventory, what sells during what time of year, what kind of margin can we run on this time of year versus this time of year? Where should we put this in the store? Like all of that stuff. And she also does like all of the accounting for the distillery in general. And I know it's a bad situation. Like whenever I'll get on this kick and I'm like, we're just going to make all the bourbon we can possibly make ever and just start running like crazy. And she'll come in back and she'll kind of peek her head around the corner. I'm like, oh shit. And go up front and she's like, sir, do you have any idea how much propane you burned this month? So like, if it weren't for Laura, I think I would probably have run us broke 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So she's the counterbalance for sure.
She's your inner monologue. I mean, yes, the person to tell you, hey, reel this back in a little bit here, buddy. Yep. So yeah. So that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Justine keeps her in business though by buying all the sweatshirts and that she designed. So anytime you get it's so funny because you guys will put out a post on Instagram. And literally, I won't even see the post, but I'll get a text from Justine. I want one of each of those. I'll be like, okay, I know what she's talking about. I'll just go to Stumpy's Instagram, and there it is. There's new items. So yeah,
that's hilarious. Yeah. Yep, our chief apparel officer keeps us well stocked.
Absolutely. Last question for you. Besides Jimmy Russell, who is the greatest living bourbon legend right now? And I have to kick Jimmy Russell out, not for anything bad, because he's the greatest. You really can't argue that. I mean, the guy's been, 65 plus years doing this. He's a legend of legends. So we have to take him out. But after him, who do you think is the greatest living bourbon legend?
Oh man, that's tough. Shame on you for asking that question.
I know. I'm putting you on the spot. We ask the tough questions here at the Bourbon Talk Show.
The more I hear him talk, I always had a lot of respect for this person just because of his pedigree and track record and all that stuff. And not only his track record, but his wife's as well. Steve Nally is just so absolutely impressive with everything that he's done in the past and everything that he's doing now. I mean, to manage 50 mash bills with a bunch of different contract clients, that guy's, I can't even imagine what his day-to-day is like. So, to be able to turn out that kind of quality product for decades and, continue to push the envelope in, a brand spanking new state-of-the-art distillery, it's super impressive. And, that's a really nice balance between quality and technology and heritage practices and all those things. So Steve Nally is always I would say, living legend that I always look up to quite a bit.
There you go. That's really cool. He's got like 3 Hall of Fame careers. His wife is a Hall of Famer, as you mentioned. So she's a Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Famer. But if you look at Nally, I mean, his time at Maker's Mark, that's going to get you in the Hall. And that did get him in the Hall. Not that Wyoming whiskey could get you in the Kentucky Bourbon Hall of Fame, but it was a Hall of Fame thing. Starting up a distillery and that has nationwide distribution. You know the challenges of that. And he was instrumental in getting that company going and worked there for quite a few years. And now, of course, what he's doing with Bardstown. If you throw out all the other stuff and he just starts and does what he's doing at Bardstown, he's on the way for a Hall of Fame career, just what he's doing there. So it is pretty amazing to think about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And he's a guy who flies under the radar for the most part because he's pretty soft spoken. He's not going to be a guy who's going to sit on the, top it on the microphone and shout out how great he's doing. He's just a guy who just does his job.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really cool dude. Well, Adam, thank you for joining us, man. Stick around. Feel free to jump in at any time during the show. We appreciate that. We'll just have you slide over on the couch like they did on the old Tonight Show, and we'll get ready to bring in our next guest. But before we do that, we'll take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll talk to Nate Weingarte. We'll do that in just a few.
Today's show is sponsored by ABV Networks, our flagship whiskey virtual bourbon events. Each ticket purchase gets you into 2 events featuring 4 distillers per event. Best of all, you get to try their signature whiskey offering. Sign up today by heading over to abvnetwork.com/virtual. We are also sponsored by Moonshine University. Moonshine University offers programs to assist individuals in the bourbon industry or simply fans wanting to step up their knowledge. Whether you're looking for in-person learning in the classrooms of Moonshine University or looking for self-study online, there are options to fit your unique needs. Check them out at moonshineuniversity.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Our next guest is a big thing in bourbon. And that's not just because he's like 6'8" either. I'm talking about he is a big thing because he's redefined what a whiskey club can be with his own club, the 5280 Whiskey Society out of Denver. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nate Weingarte. Hello, Nate. What's going on, man?
First off, thanks for having me, Steve and McNew. I just really appreciate it. I don't know how I made this list by any means, especially with being here with someone like Adam that's accomplished so much and all your other guests. So I'm pretty humbled to even be a part of this. So I just appreciate that.
Yeah, he just made a play there to get that other Bananas Foster barrel, I think. That's what he was writing down real quick. He's like, let me get something really sounds really good. We'll warm him up. I see what you're doing. So, but you clued me in here that you recently did some promotion for a barrel pick. Can you talk about what was happening with that? Can we share that photo here with the group?
Well, Stephen, actually, it's kind of a double thing there because I recently moved out of the city and moved a little bit south of Denver. And one of the things I first noticed when I moved there was wild turkeys. And that's something that I hadn't really seen before. And it was pretty awesome. They were kind of in gangs, kind of walking around and like, I don't know what the term is, goggles or whatever, but 4 or 5 turkeys at a time kind of coming around. And it was a new housing project, and it kind of created a stink and a division in the neighborhood where some people wanted them removed, and I was pro turkey. It felt like they needed to be there. So I actually really appreciated kind of seeing them. Now they caused some problems. They chased people and scratched up people's cars and whatnot. But to me, it was kind of entertaining, and I felt like it was pretty good. So we were having a wild turkey pick come out about the same time. And one of the things that we've done with our Russell Reserve picks is named them Thunder Chicken, just based on an aggressive turkey. And so we've had 4 of those now. We've got our 4th one that's getting ready to come out that should be arriving in Denver here pretty soon. But so we've kind of honored the turkey with that. And in my neighborhood on Halloween this year, I don't know if you have the picture or not, but this is me protecting the turkeys. I sat out on my patio in my rocking chair and drank a bottle of Russell Reserve Thunder Chicken and had a sign that said "Save the Turkeys," just to make sure my neighbors knew I was pro turkey. So
showing off a little thigh there too, on my dad.
Well, I think the camera adds about 40 pounds, Steve. It's pretty good to me. Yeah, so I mean, that was kind of fun. But unfortunately, the update on the turkeys is they kind of moved out themselves. I think they got tired of the haters and they just kind of moseyed on down and went somewhere else. So unfortunately, we don't have those turkeys. But I do have a lot of Russell Reserve still. So
and you still got the suit, so you can get out there whenever you like. And
that's right.
Aggravate the neighbors. So that's good.
Sure.
One of my favorite things about you is when we have you on the shows, and sometimes, we drink a lot on the shows, and sometimes you get drunk, and I can push a button on you, which is, I always like people that I can push a button with. And with you, it's just start talking about the secondary. So if I say something like, hey, I've got this website here that look, you can buy an Al Young for $2,000. It just pushes you over the edge and you always say the craziest stuff. You're like, I bought it for $150. Akeley, you want to buy it for $150? I'll sell it to you for $150 right now. And no one's ever taken you up on these deals, but at some point, someone's going to rob you blind when you're drunk and you're angry about the secondary. Yeah. You sell off your entire BTAC collection for $90 a piece and stuff.
I get it. I mean, I get the secondary market. I mean, I get why it's there. I mean, whiskey's become a huge commodity, and especially when there's allocated things and there's a high demand, I get how it happens. it's not something definitely that we want to support. We're pretty with our picks. We just finished up our 52nd pick, and we're going back to Kentucky in 2 weeks to do our next barrel pick. And we try and keep our private picks off the secondary market. That's one of the code of conduct and rules that we have within our society. Just because we want whiskey enjoyed. We want people to be able to have it. We don't want it to be sitting on a shelf collecting value. We want it to actually be shared with friends, shared with family. And that's what I feel. I mean, you know me with Al Young, that's one of my favorite top 5 pours at that 50th anniversary. And I just almost finished off my 3rd bottle of it if I was fortunate to get that many. But that's what they're for, is for drinking. But I get it. There's a reason for it. It allows people to maybe get some bottles they wouldn't normally get. But some of the pricing on it's
cheers. Yeah, cheers to you, Nate, for the work that you're doing. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get him lit. I'm going to try to buy his George T. Stagg later.
So this does not turn into an interview. It's
I just want to get a George T. Stagg tonight for on the cheap. Adam, you and I'll drink that when I get that. All right. So help me out with them. So just lift a glass every once in a while. I'll give them a cheers. Let's jump right into this thing, man. 5280 Whiskey Society is incredible. I don't know that everyone knows exactly what it is. They kind of know, I guess in their mind what a bourbon club is, but tell them specifically about your club and what you guys do.
Well, we started back in about 2016, so it's not a whole long time ago. But before that, it was just a group of guys actually drinking scotch in the back of a cigar lounge with some old timers, some 80 and 85-year-old gentlemen that smoked pipes, and they would bring in scotch, and we were kind of drinking that. And I was more of a bourbon and a rye fan, and so I started bringing in bourbon to share with them, and obviously to get someone that at that age that's been sipping on scotch or their brand for a long time is a pretty difficult task. So it kind of started with that, bringing in bourbon, and then what happened is some of the higher allocated bottles are what that was fortunate to get, or some of my friends were fortunate to get. We would just bring them in and open them and share with anybody that wanted them. And it grew quickly. Word of mouth grew quickly. And pretty soon that cigar back room of no bigger than 20 by 20 started to get packed every Friday night, and people started to want to hang out and kind of have fellowship. And then people started bringing potlucks, and it kind of grew from there. And we talked about it and came up with an idea that said, hey, and it's not a new idea. There's been whiskey groups for a long time, and even Colorado has had a fair share of a couple of really good groups back then. But we just thought it might be a good idea to expand and see who would want to be interested in getting together, sharing in kind of whiskey fellowship. And the other component that we really wanted to add was education, because I think that we were all kind of in different spots in our whiskey journey. There were different places you could go to get knowledge or education. And some of those places weren't as friendly to newer people getting into whiskey, and maybe challenging for people with that. So we wanted to have kind of a friendly environment that kind of welcomed all levels of whiskey drinkers and just kind of supported that. And so that's where it was kind of born. The first actual person we brought in, and kind of ironic, but the first person we brought in, and you talked about Wyoming whiskey a little bit, but was Nancy Fraley. And Nancy came in, and I don't know how I got her there, to be honest with you. I think that Joseph Magnus was wanting to get into the Denver market, and it was just good timing. And, we reached out and we talked to them, and they talked to us. And so we did a Joseph Magnus event, and we did the first 6 cigar blends, 1 through 6, and with her, and she's outstanding. I mean, the knowledge, I can tell you a funny story from that first lesson learned is we had no money. We had nothing to invest in this, barely. We were just a group of people that wanted to get together. And we realized that we probably needed some type of drink glassware. And it wasn't like we had a supply of Glens or even rock glasses and whatnot. So the day before, we were kind of panicked, and I went and I bought these 5-ounce glasses, and they were like Bed Bath and Beyond type things, just not good, especially for tasting whiskey. And the first thing out of her mouth was, "These are not proper nosing glasses, and I don't know why we have these." And you can imagine me shrinking in my seat, kind of like, my gosh. But from there, it was great, and we learned a ton, and that kind of gave us the bug to keep doing it. And I mean, learning from her and learning about her blending and how to nose whiskey and taste whiskey, and it kind of grew from there, and the word got out, and more people wanted to be involved. And so it blossomed from there.
How many members do you currently have in your
Well, that's, you know what, it's interesting because we made the choice to stay small,
right?
To be honest with you. We have a pretty massive waiting list of people that want to join, but
I'm on there. I keep being pushed to the bottom.
Yeah, you're out of state, man. Disqualified. One of the things about it is we wanted to grow slowly because we wanted connectivity. We wanted relationships built. We wanted people to really get to know each other. We have a very diverse group from all walks of life, and we take pride in that. We wanted to do that slowly, and we kept it slow, and we grew it slow. We added a few members every year as we've gone. Currently, right now, we're probably a little higher than I even want to be. We're at 265. The difference is our members are extremely active, which is really nice. So when we do an event or have one of our barrel releases come, it's usually gone in a minute or 2 minutes and filled up, or we've reserved the whole barrel or whatnot. So it's nice to have nice.
Are you removed if you're not active? Is that part of the process, the things that you do?
There is a code of conduct that we have. We posted on our site, and there's an expectation for participation because we want people that want to learn and want to be involved and want to connect. We're not ruthless about it. We understand circumstances, but we expect our members to be active in some capacity. We don't expect them to buy. And I want to make it clear, we do a lot of barrel picks, but there's no expectation on purchasing our barrel picks. We partner with 2 great liquor stores. That's up to our members. But for events, we do expect participation and to get involved and help each other grow in whiskey journeys. So
what's the structure of the organization? Are there, dues to get involved? Do you guys have meetings, and I'm not talking about events, where you bring in like a bourbon celebrity. I'm talking about meetings of let's plan what we're going to do and those type of things.
Yeah, definitely. We've got kind of a board that works through stuff. We plan out stuff. We have a lot of members that volunteer for different things. So we definitely have meetings. We plan. We go to Kentucky a lot in groups and pick barrels. That's one of the things we try and do is get multiple members that opportunity to go on a barrel pick experience. Tomorrow night, we're actually having here, not in Kentucky, but we're having an Old Forester barrel strength single barrel pick. And we actually, for that event, we actually did it in a charity way. Every member that donated directly to a nonprofit out here called We Cycle that helps at-risk infants, homelessness, and fights against domestic violence, helps with teen pregnancy, all these things. It's a really solid group that works in Denver. We had members donate, and then they were selected 5 members that would be able to be a part of this pick, and we raised about $7,600 in 3 days. So we try and do that. It's important for us to have a balance of giving back to our community. We're very fortunate for the relationships that we have with some of these barrel picks. So we do try and do a lot of that giving back. So, yeah.
A lot of charitable work. Do you have like a tally of, so far we've donated X amount of dollars or anything like that you keep track of?
I'm sure one of my partners does. I am not the math guy, Steve, or the accountant. I can tell you that. They don't even let me near it. So they let me be the imagination guy and think stuff up. But we've probably, almost 100,000, I think, several $1,000s that we've done over the last few years. I mean, being a smaller group, one thing we don't do is we don't we don't make our members donate, or we don't have it's on their own if they want to contribute or whatnot. And we did an event with Heaven Hell with Connor O'Driscoll and Bernie Lovers and Jody, who just came out with his new whiskey from Evan Williams, which I'm excited to try.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we did an event with them just early in the year, and for ALS. And that was another good one that got matched by the distributor out here, and we made almost 15,000 for that one. So we get chunks here and there. I'm not sure what the grand total is, but we try and make it a part of what we do. So
yeah. So early, especially the early times of the club, you were tasked with funding some of this stuff yourself, though. So I know that wasn't always a happy thing with your wife, but tell us about those early days and having to hit your pocket to make sure that this thing kept going.
Yeah, that was one thing that my wife didn't appreciate too much. I definitely have a supportive wife, and she's like, okay, so you're in a club
and you're paying to keep it going,
and you're losing a lot of money. And and I think that it was helpful as we kind of grew, and some of the partners got involved with it, and were able to say, hey, this is how you budget to break even. Right. And that's what we really try and do. We try and break even, or we've gotten better at where we're able to make a little bit extra that we've done to pay our copyright attorneys, or look at expansion, or look at things. Everything gets invested back into the society in some manner. And what are we going to do next? What are we looking at next? Like, what are the opportunities for our members, and how can we make the experience better, or bring in new things? And so that's what we've done with it. But it's been helpful to have a partner that knows business. I'm a social worker, Steve, so I'm not a business guy. Yeah.
So wow us though with some of the bourbon celebrities. I mean, just run through a list and talk to us, because I think that's an amazing thing. There's bourbon clubs all over, but I think most bourbon clubs are going to events together and seeing some of these big names. These big names come out to you all the way in Denver. You're not right next door to Louisville or something like that. This is an official trip they got to take. So tell us about some of the people you've had involved in your events.
Well, we're really fortunate to live in Colorado. I don't think it's that tough to get people to come here sometimes, but we've been very fortunate. I mean, just going through the list in the beginning, Jackie Zykans come out several times, Brent Elliott, Eddie Russell, Steve Beam. Man, I'm trying to think of this list. I mean, we've had Bernie Lovers came out and did his bluegrass. I would say that we probably had 20 of really kind of big names in whiskey come out over the last several years, and been fortunate to have that experience with them. And it's been interesting for us too this last year, because we haven't been able to do it in person, but it's also gained us some opportunities too. So one of the people that I really wanted to get with our whiskey society, we ended up doing it virtual, was Jim Rutledge. And we had Mr. Rutledge on, and he was on for 3 hours. It was amazing.
He's powerful, isn't he? I mean, that guy is
oh my gosh. I mean, I asked one question, and I don't think I even had to say anything for 45 minutes. I mean, just his knowledge, and it was amazing. And then just this last week, we had Freddie No. And I appreciate that, and his connection with you all. He's amazing. I look forward to what he's going to be bringing, and what he is bringing right now to the whiskey world. I think Freddie, and he actually had a compliment for Adam. I told him I was on with Adam, and he had a compliment for him as well. So,
oh wow!
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the best ones I think we've done was when Old Forester brought their rye to the market. They actually launched it with us.
That's pretty cool.
In Colorado. So they actually, for the first time, launched it, did a live event, and we had Mr. Lake and all the big wigs out from Brown Foreman, and Jackie came out, and we did the olfactory. Some of you may have experienced the olfactory experience.
Yeah,
I know that's what kind of came from that, but that was a pretty cool deal to be able to be a part of that, and we've launched a lot of brands out here. That's another thing that we've tried to do is if there's a brand that is coming to Colorado, is connecting with them and bringing them in, or virtually bringing them in and really learning about their brand, their product, and doing some tasting and kind of helping them launch that. I think that's one of the things we always look at is how can we win for everybody. We want to make sure that they're getting a win out of it, what they need out of it, and then how can we also feel like we're getting a win for our members. And I think that's one of the things when you talk about whiskey societies is I think sometimes societies think the larger they are, or how many members they have on Facebook, or all these things that come into play. And it has nothing to do with that. In the whiskey world, it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
And you need to build those relationships to be able to, do cool stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you just listed, I counted, I believe 73 bourbon celebrities, but never once did you mention Royce and I, who came out and did an event out there.
Well, I kind of had you guys down. I'm not Royce. I had you at the bottom, but Royce Neely, man, God, that guy, if he keeps winning double golds.
Yeah, crazy, right?
That guy's something right now, man. He's hopping.
It was so fun.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, shoot. Right there. Hey, there you go. What do you think about that pick, Neil? That's is it all right? Yeah, we
it's good.
I can't say I was sober when I picked it, but we were somewhat. But man, that was a solid. That they have some solid stuff.
Oh yeah, they got some good stuff.
Just wait. I mean, that's something with Royce. But yeah, we did that awesome. We brought the film out, and that was a collaboration we did with other whiskey societies. We brought in 4 of the bigger whiskey societies in the state of Colorado came together. We did some charity with that one too, and that was
cool, man.
Yeah.
It was a great theater. That was my only time seeing the movie in a theater like that. So I thank you for that opportunity.
Absolutely.
Fun story about that event. So, the movie's ended. We're going to be doing a Q&A afterwards. And Royce hadn't done a lot of events. Now I think, here we are a couple of years later, he'd be very smooth. He hadn't done a lot of those events. So the lights are starting to come up. The movie's ending. And Royce leans over to me and says, I think I'm having a heart attack. I'm not going to be able to talk. And I said, they don't even want to talk to me. They don't care about the movie. They care about your story. And that's how it played out too. If you remember, every question was to Royce. I mean, they were just, your group was fascinated with him and the things that he was doing. So
his family's history and story. Yeah. I mean, it's just incredible. And I have a funny story about Royce too. And I'll tell you because, I was out at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival, and I think it was, I don't know, like how long ago was that? 3 years ago?
I think that was 3 years ago. Yeah.
3 years ago, maybe. And
when he was there. Yeah.
Trey Zeller was in there, and I was sitting in there listening to him, and he was doing a speech, and also I was in there with Andrew Webrink, and he had gone, and this kid in the front kept asking questions that I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, who is this guy? I mean, he looked like he was like barely 21, and it was just like, this guy could be the most knowledgeable, guy I've ever heard. He just kept on asking like unbelievable questions, unbelievable knowledge. And then I found out I was Royce Neely, and later obviously learned much more about him. But he's going to be something. So
yeah, he asks a lot of questions, and but he retains that stuff. It's always amazing to me when I talk to Royce. The stuff he definitely has a memory for it. I don't know that he knows anything about other than whiskey. I mean, maybe whiskey, maybe some guns knowledge, but that might be about it. Don't ask him about pop culture or music or anything like that. He doesn't know any of that. He doesn't have to though. He knows a lot about whiskey for sure. A couple more questions. Jackie Z, you have a great friendship with her. Tell us a little bit about how you guys came to be such good friends.
Sure. That one, there was a spirits festival that was up in Breckenridge, Colorado, which is about 45 minutes out of Denver, 50 minutes. And I think it was 2016, maybe 2017. I can't remember. I'm getting old, Steve, but she was going to be up there, and they had her at that time. She was doing some cocktail stuff, and she had just been a part of her first collaboration with the birthday bourbon.
Yeah.
And that was her first time kind of being a part of that and being a part of the selection process. And so I thought it would be cool to bring up my bottle of birthday bourbon and have a pour with her. Like, that was my thought. Like, it's pretty cool to be able to have this chance. There's somebody, you know, from the whiskey world that had a part of this. And I thought it would be pretty cool to, you know, just see if they'd even do. I had no idea anything about her, and I didn't know what, like, she might be like, you're crazy, get away, whatever. But, you know, they had a presentation, and we were in a kind of it was like a, like educational seminar type thing. And then, I was in kind of this area sitting out by the lake on this chair, and then she showed up and said, "Hey, I heard you wanted to have a pour." And I was like, "Oh, I'd be honored if you sit down." And we cracked that birthday bourbon open and drank it and hung out for a while and learned about it and just got to know her and talked to her. And there's some crazy video, I think, still on the Old Forester site that's on there, I think, but they kind of filmed it later. Yeah, it was a great experience. And from that time, we just have crossed paths, and she's been so generous to 5280 Whiskey Society of her time. You know, all of Brown-Forman really, and several people within that organization. Yeah, we've just kind of developed a friendship over that time. And she's a great person, man. If you've ever met her, she's outstanding. I mean, just super intelligent and has a lot going on.
Funny.
So,
She's
she's funny. Yeah. She's great.
Cool.
So
she's cool too. I mean, you and I wouldn't say either you and I anyone would be like, oh, that Nate's cool or Steve's cool. No, but she's cool. She's cool. Jackie Z is cool. So tell us a little bit, last question, what your bourbon future looks like. And I mean, what are we thinking here? More with the club, more work in the bourbon industry? You tell me what you think you go from here.
Yeah, we've got a lot of irons in the fire right now. You know, there's things that we're looking at doing to kind of take things to the next level. I would like nothing more than to be able to have even a bigger part with 5280 whiskey in the whiskey world. I think that we're looking at everything from maybe taking on kind of a Jack Rose type scenario where maybe we have a bar with small bites, and then upstairs is the private 5280 whiskey club. And
that's cool, man.
We've been working on business plans for that. And we've talked about laying down some of our own whiskey. That's another thing that we've talked about. I'm sure I'm going to get killed by some of my partners for talking about this out loud, but I mean, these are just things that may or may not happen. And, you know, I think that we want to continue to bring in some of the top people in whiskey and continue to educate people and support our members on their whiskey journey, continue to do the charity work and support charities and local nonprofits. Those are things that we want to do. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We're getting ready to hopefully get back into our live events. Those are what we're really about, to be honest with you. The virtual stuff and the barrel picks are awesome, but the best part is getting together as people and connecting and those relationships that we built, and breaking bread and having a big dinner and sharing some whiskey with each other, and then learning from some of the top people in the industry. So
absolutely. Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us on the Bourbon Talk Show, man. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm humbled to be here, like I said, and appreciate being here with Adam. And he's got some outstanding stuff going on. And Adam, I'll give you a call, man, and maybe we can look at that barrel.
I knew it. I'm gonna be out
that. Yeah. So. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear it from Mr. Nate Weingarte, folks. Appreciate him.
Nate.
Great job, Nate. Excellent. Also, our first guest, Mr. Adam Stumpf. Let's hear it for him as well. Great guy.
Adam.
Absolutely. Our good friend. All right. Well, we'll wrap this one up like we do every show on the network by talking about where people can find us. Nate, we'll start with you, man. Where can people find you?
Well, if you can't see the sign behind me, Steve, like I said, I told somebody, I'm trying to think where I was on. Oh, I know. Someone called me out on the Fred Minnick show and said I was a walking infomercial. So I felt bad for a second, but it just is what it is. 5280 Whiskey on Instagram, and we're not public on Facebook because we save that for our members to be able to have chat and whatnot for connecting right now. So those are two, and 5280whiskey.com. If you want to go 5280whiskey.com, we actually have some of our previous events on there, especially a lot of our virtual events. You can read about our code of conduct, our expectations of our members, see some of the barrel picks we've done and what we do. So those are the places.
All right. Adam, how about you, man?
You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Stumpy Spirits and stumpyspirits.com.
All right. McNew.
I'm on Instagram at McNew ABV.
All right. For me, I'm an easy guy to find at Steve Akeley on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. I've got a website, steveakeley.com. The important website, though, is abvnetwork.com. Check it out because everything that we do is out there. All of our previous shows, our blogs, our shop, so much more, abvnetwork.com. McNew, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'd like to remind our audience to please hit that subscribe button for Bourbon Sasquatch on YouTube, where all of our shows will be posted. And when you're watching an episode, please give us that thumbs up, leave some comments, and share it. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And next week, we have Jackie Zycan of Old Forester and of Limestone Branch.
Yeah. Great show next week. Looking forward to that. Until then, take care, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.
Peace.